Were you ever made fun of by your peers for liking something that originally wasn't supposed to be intended for you or your demographic? Well, there's really nothing wrong if you do. Well, actually I could be wrong. I don't know you at all. For all I know, you could be into some really fucked up shit, like, I don't know, giving an Alabama Hot Pocket to comatose victims, but I digress. Society has always implied that certain things should apply and be for certain people. Nowadays, they think that men like things that are big, fast, hard, loud, and overly masculine. And they think that women like things that are cute, shiny, colorful, and trendy. Hell, that's essentially the entire modern marketing strategy in a nutshell. And for the most part, that assumption has literally been right on the money, and you can clearly see that. But every once in a blue moon, there comes a time where the simple marketing strategy is thrown out the window in a state of perplexity because an unexpected group adopted what originally wasn't supposed to be intended for them. And that's where we arrive at discussing the most recent incarnation of this phenomenon, bronies. I'm not going to go the typical route and explain who or what bronies are, because they've been the #1 most requested topic on this channel for quite some time now. I'm not going to condescend and act like you're a bunch of misinformed troglodytes. And even if I did, all of you would go, "No fucking shit, Sherlock, we know who bronies are, they're everywhere!" They're quite literally omnipresent on the internet. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or whatever the fuck social networking site is trending nowadays. Hell, even major news networks have covered them at least once. But, getting back to the subject, a lot of you guys have asked me what my opinion on My Little Pony and their eccentric fan base is. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really see bronies as anything more than just your typical fanboys. I have nothing for or against them. In fact, one of my favorite YouTubers, Josh Scorcher, for unrelated reasons, is a brony. The only real difference between bronies and other legions of fanboys is, like I mentioned earlier, is that they're fans of something that originally wasn't supposed to be targeted towards them. And because of that, they've gained an immense amount of popularity, or at least weird looks, by people surrounding them. That's it. I can't just make any broad generalizations about bronies. Or any fan base for that matter, despite what I've said in the past. But to call Brutal Death Grindcore fans stubborn is a bigger understatement than saying that Glenn Beck is only a little goofy. Consider that an apology. I may be a hypocrite, but at least I'm a self-aware hypocrite. The truth is that bronies, and all fan bases alike, can actually be divided into 3 smaller generalizations. The first is just being a simple fan of the show. Their level of excitement towards it is understandably giddy. It's perfectly fine to anticipate something you enjoy. That's why you're a fan in the first place. They show off their support with things like fan art, maybe a My Little Pony related avatar on their online profiles, and maybe even sporting a t-shirt or two. But their fandom is almost never superfluous and it almost never gets on anyone's nerves. Well, maybe in the case of bronies it might raise some eyebrows, maybe conjure up a conversation about why you're a brony, followed by probably some lighthearted teasing and then you bringing up an embarrassing fact about them, like the night where they let his dog lick cottage cheese off his balls. Followed by a long, awkward, painful silence and finally agreeing to forget about everything you two have just said. And it usually doesn't evolve further than that. Usually. They're level-headed and open to other people's opinions and criticisms regarding My Little Pony while presenting a reasonable argument about why they think it's good. And when all is said and done, they make no bones about the debate they have and go on about their day. These fans are usually overshadowed by the rowdier and creepier breed and give them a bad name. Usually because they stay out of pointless arguments on the internet because they have better things to do, and rightfully so. Or at the very least, they just very quietly say their piece and go on about their day, because like I said before, they don't make a big deal about it. I'm certainly not alone in wishing that more people had this kind of mentality. But that only exists in a perfect world where everyone was thoughtful and Brickleberry wasn't renewed for a 2nd season. My god, that show is fucking awful. The second tier of fans is the more infamous, talked about people on the internet. The fanboys, fangirls, fan-trannies, fan-tards, whatever you want to call them. The kind of people you see on sites like 4chan getting into massively pointless arguments about who the best pony is, and why this pony sucks, and why this pony can kick the other pony's ass. hosting forums featuring discussions with more pages than Tolstoy about any and all things friendship is magic, ordering a Happy Meal from McDonald's just to get a My Little Pony toy, and then asking for a specific one when they find out that they already have a Pinkie Pie toy. These people are really passionate about My Little Pony. So much so that it can get fucking annoying. Fanboys usually can't take criticisms about the show or even themselves and erupt into just a thoughtless, rage-filled diatribe, and they can't really be taken seriously because of it. These are the fans that are the most talked about, exploited, and ridiculed on the internet. Now, some of them do deserve that, and some of them don't. Well, actually, I'd say a good deal of fanboys do deserve some of the ridicule they get on the internet, but moving on. In the end, I bet a lot of us could admire the dedication and tenacity they have towards something that they love and are clearly passionate about. But at the same time, these people get so in your face about why you should become a brony or a fan of a particular franchise, and if you don't like it, they will absolutely chew your ass out and chastise you to the end of the fucking universe, to the point where you can't take them seriously and dismiss them as ignorant mongoloids. And a good deal of them are ignorant mongoloids, and they make you want to stab them in the throat sometimes. Fanboys are just going to be fanboys, and bronies are no different in subtext. Finally, you have the breed of fans that are absolutely, positively, 100% obsessed with My Little Pony. So much so that it's not creepy, it's not pathetic, it's just downright unsettling. These people have become downright infatuated with it, that it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Sorry to sound like an uptight dick here, but I think it's safe to assume that some of these #1 fans have a few screws loose in terms of everyday social interactive activity. If that statement was a bit too blunt for you, here's the more brutally direct version. They're totally fucked up in the head. These people live, breathe, eat, shit, and sometimes even fuck My Little Pony, dressing up in full pony costumes, decorating their house, their cars, their pets, bedazzling their genitals with cutie marks and other MLP regalia, writing fan fiction and fan art. Hey, wait a minute, those last two don't seem all that bad. People write fan fiction and make fan art all the time. They can't all be fucked up. You're absolutely right. Not all fan-made merchandise is fucked up. But fucked up is where you begin to make stories and fan art that involve rape, torture, murder, hardcore sex, inserting yourself into the universe where you go to town on Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash in a hot, sweaty, sparkly, rainbow-colored three-way of bestiality. Okay, I may have exaggerated on that last part, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone has already done it, and I'd be willing to bet money if someone had actually done it. Have you ever made the mistake of indulging a fanboy in an argument and they try to sound intimidating by saying that they're going to come over to your house and kill you in your sleep? You just laugh it off and go on about your day, right? Well, with the super obsessed fans, you can't really tell if they're being serious or not, and that scares you. Is it a joke? Are they being serious? You don't know what they're capable of. Someone help me! Someone help me! So if you don't want to deal with an awkward situation like that and not have to wonder about how many skeletons they may or may not have buried underneath their house, it's probably best if you avoid these types of fans altogether. Because odds are they can't be helped. Trust me, you'll sleep better at night. Well, I think I've said enough about categorizing bronies and fanboys in general, but I haven't answered the part of the question that most of you have asked me. What do I think about the show itself? Well, I haven't heard of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic prior to you people bringing it to my attention a couple years ago, other than Josh Scorcher reviewing the pilot episode. And in order to form an actual opinion and not just cop out by saying, I haven't watched it and I don't intend to, I actually did sit down and watch a few episodes. And while I can't say that I like it, I will give it this. It's at least competent. While I didn't find anything spectacular about it, I didn't find anything terrible about it either. And that's why I don't think bronies deserve such the fuss they're kicking up. They actually have legitimate reasons for liking it. The animation is nice, the writing is actually competent and doesn't treat you like a brain-dead imbecile but actually expects you to follow what's happening. The characters are nice and diverse, even though I found most of them annoying. You can clearly tell that the developers of the show wanted to transcend its original target and make something that everyone can enjoy. But personally, I couldn't get into the show because, like I said before, I found most of the characters annoying. Especially Pinkie Pie. Fucking hated Pinkie Pie. And from all the episodes I've seen, I couldn't find any of them particularly engaging. Like I said, they weren't terrible, but they were just, Maybe the show got better as it went along, but it blew its chance with me. Now, there is one more admittedly superficial reason why I can't get into the show, and get ready for a moment of shallow hypocrisy here, but let me explain. From what I can tell, this is the most recent cartoon that has actually had heart and effort put into it so that people of any age and any gender can enjoy, especially after a long drought of quality cartoons this day and age. And it's a show about fucking ponies! I'm sorry, but I tried to be open-minded about this, but the fact that it was My Little Pony definitely had an influence in me not enjoying the show. You know that little monologue I made at the beginning of the video where I pointed out that society implies that certain things should only be applied to certain people? Well, I never said I was above that influence. Kind of. Before Friendship is Magic's inception, My Little Pony was always considered a hardcore girl's toy. No boy I knew, no matter how comfortable he was in his masculinity, would dare touch them. It was just way, way, way too far deep into the estrogen-laced forbidden zone. Now, I'm not saying that I never, ever, 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 ever enjoyed things that were originally intended for girls, and I mainly was affiliated with stuff that was meant for boys, like playing Hot Wheels and watching Dragon Ball Z. But even I'll admit to watching Powerpuff Girls regularly, because there was a lot of action and I thought it was funny. And as a kid, I did watch Sailor Moon because... well, it looked pretty, it looked cool. Okay, you got me there, that was a little fruity. But a lot of you already know that one of my favorite movies of last year was Bridesmaids. A chick flick. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that bronies are actually really brave. They're able to look past the exterior and just enjoy the show for its own merits. And admittedly, it does have its merits. Now, some of them do take that enjoyment too seriously and too far. But, like I've said a million fucking times before, that applies for every franchise. They have the courage to go against the prerequisite that society had made for them and not make it a guilty pleasure, but just a pleasure in which people are quick to judge as weird, unnatural, or as the immature people would say, gay! And I will admit, I was on that same judgmental boat about bronies at first. But over time, some people came up with actual legitimate arguments, and after seeing the show myself, and again, while I can't say that I enjoy it, I'm actually comfortable with the concept of bronies now. And you know what? There have been far weirder, infinitely more fucked up groups of people that have come and gone throughout history than a bunch of grown men watching a cartoon show about ponies. Society may have its templates, but it's not perfect. It's constantly changing and evolving and adapting along with life itself, complete with its share of oddities. And any historical research will confirm what I'm saying. And that's why I think bronies are nothing out of the ordinary of the out of the ordinary. And there you have it, folks. My opinion about My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and their community. You happy now? Are you satisfied?
He bashed brutal death grindcore fans but gave bronies a pass? What a hypocrite!
Okay, I'll admit I was a little brash on that subject.
He's going back on what he said.
No, I still think that it's absolutely god-awful, but I'll admit that things like that are subjective.
Sack of shit!
I wasn't lying. I was wrong. There's a difference.
Hypocrite! 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 Hypocrite!
I'm PM Rants, and apparently people on the internet can't understand that people make mistakes sometimes. Thank you for watching and have a good day.
Hypocrite!
I'm not going to go the typical route and explain who or what bronies are, because they've been the #1 most requested topic on this channel for quite some time now. I'm not going to condescend and act like you're a bunch of misinformed troglodytes, and even if I did, all of you would go, "No fucking shit, Sherlock, we know who bronies are, they're everywhere!" They're quite literally omnipresent on the internet. YouTube, Facebook implied that certain things should apply and be for certain people. Nowadays, they think that men like things that are big, fast, hard, loud, and overly masculine. And they think that women like things that are cute, shiny, colorful, and trendy. Hell, that's essentially the entire modern marketing strategy in a nutshell. And for the most part, that assumption has literally Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or whatever the fuck social networking site is trending nowadays. Hell, even major news networks have covered them at least once. But getting back to the subject, a lot of you guys have asked me what my opinion on My Little Pony and their eccentric fan base is. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really see bronies as anything more than just your typical fanboys. I have nothing been right on the money, and you can clearly see that. But every once in a blue moon, there comes a time where the simple marketing strategy is thrown out the window in a state of perplexity because an unexpected group adopted what originally wasn't supposed to be intended for them. And that's where we arrive at discussing the most recent incarnation of this phenomenon, bronies. Were you ever made fun of by your peers for liking something that originally wasn't supposed to be intended for you or your demographic? Well, there's really nothing wrong if you do. Well, actually, I could be wrong. I don't know you at all. For all I know, you could be into some really fucked up shit, like, I don't know, giving an Alabama Hot Pocket to comatose victims, but I digress. Society has always